Hi everyone, before you dive into the episode, I just wanted to interrupt really quickly. You're gonna dive into this episode and you're gonna hear me call this podcast the Holistic Hustle Podcast. And that is because it used to be the old name of this podcast. And it was an amazing ride. I'm so grateful for the Holistic Hustle Podcast and what it served. But recently I've decided to rebrand the podcast based off the evolution of my own journey, my own story, and where God is calling me to go next. And so now the rebrand, which you may know already, is called Wisdom is Wealth. Didn't want you to be confused, so dive into this episode. They were an amazing episode, amazing guests, amazing insights, and enjoy.
I would say the people at the higher level is like, don't become more of an employee in your business, become more of a business owner.
Hi, I'm Justin Buonamo, and this is Holistic Hustle. Holistic Hustle is doing things for the right reasons, working hard for the right reasons. The healthy balance of what work and progression and accomplishment and success should actually look like. Welcome back to another episode of the Holistic Hustle Podcast with Justin Buonamo. I have an amazing guest here today, Andrew Kroeze, who is a seasoned investor, entrepreneur, and a world trader who has made it his mission to help others achieve success in the online business world. With over 5 years of experience, Andrew has guided more than 1,000 individuals in creating 6 to 8 figure online businesses, positioning them for long-term success. A highly sought after speaker, Andrew has shared his expertise on stages across the globe alongside industry heavyweights such as Damon John, Jesse Itzler, and Tom Bailey. Damn. Okay. Andrew places a high value on community, connection, philosophizing, travel, and family. If you can tell, I'm not the best reader in the world. And these values inform his approach to both business and life. Whether he's exploring a new city, mentoring aspiring entrepreneurs, or spending quality time with loved ones, he is committing to living life to the fullest and helping others do the same. And I felt that from the minute not only was I introduced to Andrew, but I was told about him. Somebody that I really respect in my life, had no reason to lie to me about this human being or exaggerate. And he had the best things to say about Andrew. And from the minute I experienced Andrew, we've been voice messaging back and forth. I've done my research, AKA my stalking, and I'm just a huge fan. And I'm just so excited to have you on the show today, Andrew. Thank you for coming, dude.
Dude, thank you for having me. And through our conversations, I can tell we align on a lot of values. So I'm super excited for this conversation.
Man, I appreciate you being here because I think that aligning in a lot of values is so true, and like you being a great example and guest for our audience is also true, just because of not only the things that you've accomplished, but the person you are, right? And a lot of people listening to this podcast, they're an entrepreneur, a business owner, or at least aspire to be that, and you've been a very successful one. And so people's entrepreneur journey always fascinates me. I'm always curious, like, did you grow up with entrepreneur parents? Did you stumble into it? Like, what was that story? So did you always know you were going to be an entrepreneur, or was that a spontaneous change at some point in your life?
Oh, dude, great question. On one side, yes. On the other side, no. So
Okay.
I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, a lower middle class family. We never traveled or anything like that. My dad did sales and my mom was a sign language interpreter in a school, but I was always a super independent kid. So I remember when I was 5 years old, I played on a softball team, and they gave us chocolate bars to sell. And I left at 7 in the morning by myself at 5 and came back 2 hours later with a handful of cash. So there was something inside of me that was like, yeah, you're going to be an entrepreneur and be able to make your own money and all of that. But childhood was great. And then I broke up with a girlfriend when I was 18 and went through heartbreak, went through 6 years of depression after that. Can you hear the thunder?
Wow, that's crazy. Tell me you live in Mexico without telling me you live in Mexico.
Now I live in the jungle,
That's
inside a
hilarious,
farm in
dude.
Mexico.
I'm happy everything's
And
okay though. It scared me for a second.
oh no, it's super cool. So I've been traveling for 8 years too, just exploring different locations and different cultures. And now I'm in Playa del Carmen, Mexico, and they have the craziest thunderstorms, which is cool. But yeah, went through a breakup, went through extreme depression, in and out of therapy, taking Wellbutrin, Lexapro. I just felt numb for 6 years. And got a sales job after college, hated it. And then I knew I wasn't living a life that I wanted to live, but I wasn't willing to listen to my intuition that was saying, quit drinking, quit doing drugs, work out, all of that stuff. Until I came by the poem Invictus by William Ernest Henley when I was in my small Chicago apartment, just kind of not really doing work and just like checking out articles and YouTube videos. And there was just one line that changed the rest of my life, which was, you're master of your fate, captain of your soul. I am master of my fate. I'm captain of my soul. And something sparked inside of me where I was like, if I take radical responsibility for my life and just do what my intuition is telling me, I can make anything out of it. And I ran across the street to the pizza shop, grabbed a calendar and marked off 90 days. And I told myself I was going to be 20 pounds lighter and 90 days sober after that. It was July 14th, 2017. And day 45, I broke down, cried in the shower. First time I had cried in 6 years. 30 days after that, I looked down at the scale at the YMCA and I was 21 pounds lighter, 162 pounds. And 15 days after that, I put my final X through the calendar, and I was 90 days sober. And that changed the rest of my life. I got into entrepreneurship after that through courses and all of that, built multiple 7-figure businesses, sold one, helped over 1,000 people scale past 6 to 8 figures in their coaching business and their agency, including Cole Gordon, Bastian Slott, Eli Wild, and some other awesome people. So it's been a crazy journey, but fulfilling.
Absolutely, dude. And whether you known it your whole life or not, you were definitely meant to not just be an entrepreneur, but a business owner that impacts other business owners. Because a part of your story, what I'm just hearing there is that you're a person of depth, right? And so God puts us through things. I think a big reason why is so we can experience things to gain the asset of wisdom from that experience, not only for our own well-being, but to help other people with that wisdom that you gained. And so you're incredible at what you do from a business ownership standpoint, entrepreneurship standpoint, but it now makes a ton more sense on why you're able to relate to other humans so well, and why people are magnetized towards you, and why you feel so authentic in the way that you come off, because you've went through things in life that you didn't let overcome you, but instead make you stronger, make you deeper, right? Make you more relatable to other humans. And unless we go through a whole bunch of shit in life, we cannot relate to human beings, especially when we're guiding them on one of the hardest things ever, which is business development, right? Most times, right? People don't have a strategy problem in business. They have an internal problem. They have some type of internal personal resistance that is just leaking into the business, disguising itself as a personal problem, right? So after hearing that answer, I know you're beyond capable of guiding people on that personal development throughout business, but at the same time, right, you're great at business, right? And so I'd be curious, what is a piece of advice that is popular in the online space right now that you don't necessarily agree with?
Ooh, good question. I would say first, if somebody is just starting out, let's say 0 to 30K per month, do not run ads. Do not try to create a VSL. With our clients, and why we've had such great success is we start organically first, and our messaging doesn't need to be perfect when we're just going for multiple 6 figures. So we have really simple strategies of taking traffic that we don't own, moving it to traffic that we do own. So we have an audience and we have eyeballs, and really simple methodologies of offer creation, making our person, problem, promise, path, packaging very specific. But I see too many people running ads and video sales letters and trying to get these quick conversions right off the bat when their messaging just isn't dialed in. So we have our clients wait until they're hitting about 15, 20K per month to run paid ads. So I'm not a big proponent of paid ads right off the bat. So organic first, then paid ads with fuel on the fire.
It's fascinating. And is the reason because the messaging isn't dialed in yet, and the landmark to prove that the messaging is dialed in is when you get to that 15 to 20K per month?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
We can have an organic audience and screw up our messaging a lot and still make high ticket sales and low ticket sales as well. And then we have the capital to invest into paid ads instead of a lot of people just going more into the red at the beginning and all of that.
Yeah.
I would say the people at the higher level is like, don't become more of an employee in your business, become more of a business owner. There's a switch from multiple six figures to seven, multiple seven figures, eight figures, where you go from the hustling entrepreneur mentality to there needs to be a switch or you won't be able to scale to the CEO mindset. That's to create your own space in your life to be more creative and more of a leader, instead of the hustle, hustle, hustle mentality. So I would say for the higher level, most coaching programs out there are teaching you to become more of an employee instead of a CEO and a business owner. And there has to be this switch at multiple six figures going to seven, multiple seven figures, eight figures, where you change how you operate in your business. Like you gotta start living in your zone of genius and be able to delegate out the things that are not your zone of genius, right?
Music to my ears. I think one of our programs is that's what we teach is like, I want you to become a legitimate business owner, right? Because there's a massive difference between being an online coach and being a legitimate CEO of a company, right? There's a
Mm-hmm.
massive difference between being an entrepreneur and being a legitimate business owner, right? And if you
Mm-hmm.
want to make the jump that Andrew's talking about, let alone create sustainable, long-term and scalable success, must start thinking of yourself as a business owner who is working on the business, right? And separating that from the titles that are working in the business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because most people, you don't have a business, you have a very high risk job. Right. It's kind of like a unicycle almost, where like you're the operator, you're the machine, and you're the mechanic. Right. And if you
Mm-hmm.
go away in any of the capacities, the business just isn't thriving, which shows that it's not a business.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong, there's a season where you have to do everything. You've got to do a lot and you've got to hustle, right? But that's not a forever strategy, right? It's a short-term acute strategy to get you to a level where you can flip that switch that Andrew's talking about and start acting in a manner that makes you a legitimate business owner. And one quote that really helps me is like, if you're doing things that other people can do in your business, you're not leaving time for you to do the things that only you can do in your business.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And so I love that feedback, dude. I think that's whether it's being taught or not or directly said in the online space, right? There's a lot of people that are giving business advice or that people are looking to for business advice or leadership that are just very good at working in the business or wearing the hats in the business, like coach, leader, or strategist, but they're not the best CEO or business owner, and they're two completely different ball games, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so I absolutely love that, dude. And that's just one thing, my own business over the past couple of years, I've had to make that shift, and it's a tough shift, right? But it's one that's needed if you want to go to that seven figures and beyond. And so I
Mm-hmm.
appreciate you sharing both pockets of
Yep.
those advice. And speaking of the online space, it's really
Mm-hmm.
interesting right now, right? Back when I started years ago, I think there was only 5,000 online coaches. Right now, there's
Mm-hmm.
8.5 million,
Oh, I
right?
didn't know that
And
stat. Yeah.
right? Isn't that crazy?
Mm-hmm.
And from the outside looking in, it looks like the online space, particularly the coaching and online service industry, is booming because it's a $15 billion industry. But there's
Mm-hmm.
also another stat that says only 1% of the online coaches and service providers are actually making 100K a month. Only 5% are actually making 50K a month, right? And only about
Mm-hmm.
20% are actually making enough to stay in business. Right. And so it was kind of like I always use the example. Remember like 10, 15 years ago, and everybody and their mom became a rapper, right? Everyone had a mixtape and a SoundCloud, right? And it was just like this thing to do. I feel like it's been the same thing over the past 3 to 5 years with the online coaching space where people saw the possibility and jumped in. But
Mm-hmm.
some people would say the bubble's bursting a little bit right now. And it's not because there's not opportunity. It's not because there's not people that are having drastic success like Andrew and his clients, right? But I really think that the big issue is that there's a couple of things here where the noise and competition and saturation is at an all-time high, right? And
Mm-hmm.
trust is at an all-time low because there's a lot of people out there that are very good at marketing and sales, but they don't know anything about fulfilling a world-class client experience. And
Mm-hmm.
people are getting burned, right? Or under-delivered on these offers that look just like the legitimate companies, if you will. And so like
Mm-hmm.
we're in a trust recession. I heard that a couple of weeks
Yep.
ago. Right. And then lastly, people's commitment resources are at an all-time low, right? Their time,
Mm-hmm.
money, and their energy. right? And so, with all of these possibilities and saturation and noise and opportunities, whether good or bad, right? And then trust being at an all-time low and people's commitment resources being at an all-time low, it's leaving a really interesting space, right? In the online space, I'm seeing some of the most successful coaches, right, and service providers that I know struggling, let alone going out of business. Right. But at the
Hmm.
same time, though, we're not coming here being pessimistic. Like me and Andrew are very abundant types of people, and very optimistic. And there is mass opportunities to still have incredible success. And I know I have my theories and my tactics, if you will, but I would love to hear, Andrew, how are you helping your clients navigate the challenges of the online space right now? Because there's so much saturation, noise, and skepticism from consumers that seem to be negatively impacting a lot of online businesses.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much more market saturation than there was 3 years ago. And I remember in 2019 when I could just put up like one post and make $50,000 like that. There was so
The
much
good
more.
old days.
Yeah, there's so much more skepticism. And what people are seeing is the people that are running ads, their show up rates are so much lower, their close rates are so much lower, and all of that. But what will always last is building an audience and nurturing that audience. And if somebody's just thinking the paid ads, that's all I need to do, they're going to be left behind. Now it's more of a hybrid model of paid ads and organic, because the sales cycle is just a little bit longer. We found that YouTube is working really, really well, because when somebody watches YouTube video after YouTube video, like there's so much more warmed up. The majority of our sales now come from our small ass YouTube channel. And they're just 15 to 20-minute Loom videos. And we have our book a call in the description. And we get book calls that way. We also have two communities. So we have a Facebook group of 23,000 members, and then we have a school community of about 3,000 members right now. We're big proponents of the community funnel. This is what I've been doing for the past 7 years, and help people like Cole Gordon start with a community funnel, and he still recommends it to scale past 200K per month. And community, YouTube, those are huge. And what's working really, really well for our clients right now that we're struggling with book calls is our paid trial methodology. So we have a $47 full access for a week paid trial that works really good to build up trust with our audience. And it books in a triage call and then a sales call on the back end. We found that is working like gangbusters for high ticket offers. Now, the other way to go, I do not recommend people under multiple six figures to launch a low ticket community to their audience, like the 97 to 97 school communities, because we don't have a big enough audience to really make that super impactful, right? But if you're getting up to like 500,000, having a low ticket community that's $97 or $297 that warms people up and keeps them in your network until they ascend to the higher ticket, that's working really well.
Love that. And it reminds me of the quote that like you're a heck of a lot more likely to turn or to create a customer if they become or create a client if they become a customer first.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so client being big ticket, right? Buying your main product, customer being just buying something. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And, we call it like those low cost experiences, right? Primers, if you will, right? We break down our marketing, right, in two buckets. We ask ourselves, what is the objective of this marketing tactic? Is it a generator or is it a primer? Right? A
Mm-hmm.
generator is where a client or a prospect, excuse me, sees you, hears you, experiences you for the first time. Right. And then primers are what are we doing to nurture and convert them, right? After we generate them. It's one thing to generate a whole bunch of leads, it's another thing to nurture and convert them. Right. And so usually primers, most people just need an experience with you is usually a good primer is what I'm hearing from you. Right. Some type of
Mm-hmm.
experience with you to demonstrate that you are not only a good human that's trustworthy, but also the solution for the problem or goals that they're having. Right. And so it's
Mm-hmm.
fascinating to hear that the community funnel is working really well because it's something honestly like we don't run. Like inside of JFF, my company, we've got a large community base and I've had a lot of success, but like
If
And it's a big part of the client experience. Yeah,
if
yeah, go ahead.
somebody runs paid ads and does not have a community on the back end, they can double, triple their business overnight. We
Mm,
had Nick Tan come in. He was doing about 40K per month with his agency. He was taking home about 10K because he was running paid ads, had this team, all that stuff. And then we just put a Facebook group community on the back end, hired a setter, and got a marketing person in place. And he was able to scale past 100K at 50% profit in 4 months. If you just have these places to capture all of the leads that are coming in, YouTube channel, community, email sequences, that sort of stuff, especially in today's environment, it warms them up so much more and it closes so many more deals.
1,000%. I think that's such a great explanation and a great share. It's like, trust is the name of the game these days. And how can you supercharge trust, right?
Mhm.
And that's giving them an authentic experience with you to, like I said before, not only demonstrate that like you're a good human, but you also know your shit,
Mhm.
right? And that's how you break through the skepticism. And so a lot of times, I guess what I'm hearing from Andrew too as well is like sacrifice some money on the front end, if you will. Sacrifice speed of the sale on the front end, right? A lot of people, they lose a sale that might have converted in 3 to 6 months by trying to convert them in 3 to 6 hours, right? And
Mhm.
especially think about Facebook ads, like your basically Facebook ads is your marketing and advertising to like the hardest audience to convert, which is cold traffic. Before they came
Mhm.
across that ad, they didn't have a clue who you were, right? And
Mhm.
there's this purchasing bell curve that's out there in the online space, that I came across. One of my mentors shared with me that like only 3 to 5% of people, particularly cold leads, will buy within 24 hours of seeing your offer or experiencing you, right? And
Mhm.
so, but we try to treat every single one of our leads like those 3 to 5%. Right. And yes, we may capitalize on the 3 to 5%, but we're ruining the other 95%, right, by trying to go for that speed instead of just playing the long game. Then there's a lot of
Mhm.
people in the sales industry that are just like, well, playing the long game, we need the money now. It's like, ah, I get that.
Yeah. And
I get that. But
you
yeah, go
can
ahead.
do both. You can hit them up with that VSL offer on the front end, and then after they don't like book in a call or something like that, you capture on the back end with an email to your community, and get them in there, right? So you can have both. You can have speed and you can build your audience like crazy, nurture them like crazy inside of a community funnel and inside of YouTube and that sort of stuff, and just double, triple your business overnight by not losing those leads. Like sometimes we got to hit some singles before we swing for the fences and hit a grand slam, and the communities are in the YouTube is setting up so you can hit singles with these people over and over and over until you swing for the fences.
I love that. I love that. Would you be able to kind of break down like what an effective community looks like?
Yeah, so choosing the platform is very important. I get the question all the time, like, can I create a Go high level community? And for fulfillment, yes, but for marketing, no. People aren't searching for community and Go high level. So inside of school, we recommend doing a school community if you're in the coaching space, if you're in the Alex Harmozzi's space, right? Because the conversations on school are so much warmer, and people have probably purchased something on there already. It's a very high quality lead, but if we have a client who teaches trumpet, his trumpet people aren't going to come over to school and hang out on school a lot. But he does do over 7 figures with a really good VSL and ads. And we just launched a Facebook group for him. His people are on Facebook, right? And if you're not in the Alex Harmozzi verse or your ideal clients, do a Facebook group. It still works really freaking well. The biggest thing is number one, the mission of the Facebook group, having a feeling of like we're all in this together. Where people let their groups go to die is when they stop caring about those groups or their team doesn't care about those groups. And the biggest thing is the content. So what I do is I test out all of our content on Facebook. And if a long form post works really well, we put it into our email sequence. If an offer post works really well on a two-step offer, then we'll put it into our email sequence. We'll put it up on Instagram. So I use my communities in Facebook as a testing ground for all of the other platforms that we post on. And if it works there, then we post it on the other platforms as well. But community wise, it just comes down to the content and making people feel like they're a part of something. So question posts, especially on Facebook, sounds stupid, but it creates a stick rate inside of the community. What's one book that you recommend to everyone, right? What's your favorite book that you recommend to everybody else? People just want to talk, right? And you get that up, right? You get the engagement, that's part of the community. But then you also have two-step posts to drive to sales calls. So, hey, just put up a new YouTube video on how to build out your task management delegation system in under 20 minutes. Who wants it? Comment down below. And then we have setters on our team that comment back and engage in conversation. We send it over, and then we have DM conversations to go through pain points, vision, challenges to, hey, I think the best thing to do would be hop on a call. And we have the scripts for that. That's not the exact thing, but it's actually a lot simpler than what people try to make it if they're trying to do it on their own. Yeah, and especially if people are running ads, it's just stupid simple. Like people kick themselves in the ass being like, damn, I wish I did this years ago.
Yeah, and honestly, like I'm almost even having those thoughts because, like you said, a couple of years ago, we could make a post to make 50,000, right? And from my own personal experience, my own struggles maybe with this past year is just trying to figure out which funnel works the best for us, right? And so just these ideas that you're throwing out just have my wheels turning, and especially for established business owners that are listening to this, that have a very good fulfillment model, have a very good ascension model, right? Have all the pieces to the puzzle, but that front end of the funnel has stopped working. Andrew is just giving gold of suggestions, right? Of how you can fix that. And like even myself, I've made multiple seven figures, have been doing seven figures per year for the past 3 years. Like what Andrew was saying is extremely valuable for me, right? Like, and so I hope the same thing for everybody listening. And so Andrew, you're an absolute wealth of knowledge, and I appreciate you giving away as much as you just gave away on this call, but I got to save a little bit, right? And I know that you're very generous and you're going to keep giving it away, but before we give away the whole kitchen sink here, which I'm sure just the character that you are, you'd be willing to do that. Let me just ask you, where can people find you and connect? Because anybody that's struggling with some of the things that that Andrew is talking about here, I promise you he's the man for the job. So please reach out to him with these instructions he gives you.
Yeah. Thanks for the opportunity, man. I would say our seven-figure entrepreneur school group, I'll give you the link. We have a bunch of free courses on growing your business, also stuff on the self-mastery side, energy, mindset, all of that. We do a weekly call every Thursday at 11 a.m. EST. So show up to those. Those are great. That's with me. And then my YouTube channel, where I'm a big proponent of systems in life and business, because as James Clear said, we don't rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems. And I have systems for my relationships, my finances, my business, my personal life, and I do builds on top of these systems on my YouTube channel. So we just posted one up of our task management and delegation system that's really good. So that's on the YouTube channel. So hit me up on school, go subscribe on YouTube, and hopefully I provide the value for you guys.
I'm sure you will, dude. I'm sure you will. Before we go, I'm curious, is your school community more so like your personal brand? 'Cause it sounds like you're offering a lot of holistic things, right? And then if they need help with this pocket of business, then the opportunity is to ascend from there, or is it like your business's school community?
So I have fulfillment on top of school. So with our fulfillment, we have school, we have one-on-one Slack channels with all of our clients as well. And then we give them Airtable systems as well and GHL funnels and all of that stuff on the fulfillment side. But we have a free marketing community inside of school where the first few questions we capture phone number and email, which zaps over to our Go High level. And then they go through an email sequence and a text sequence as well to see if they need support. So it works as a great funnel and lead magnet as well, the seven-figure entrepreneur school.
Awesome, dude. I appreciate all of this. And so, anybody listening, if you couldn't already tell, Andrew is the real deal. And there's a lot of noise out in the online business space. But I always say, make sure that the people that you're taking advice from are people that you would trade places with on the topic they're advising you on. Because the most impactful advice in this world is not the right advice, it's the wrong advice. Right. And so Andrew definitely knows what he's talking about. He definitely has your best interest in mind. Right. And he's just a wealth of knowledge for anybody in the online space. So make sure you connect with him. Make sure you find him. Tell him that I sent you. Right. And thank me later. So speaking of thanking people, Andrew, thank you for being here today, dude. I really appreciate it.
Justin, thank you so much for the conversation. This was awesome.
Of course, man. Of course. And for everybody listening, thank you again for coming to another episode of the Holistic Hustle podcast. As I always say, I'm just simply trying to create content that changes this world. An incredible guest like Andrew help, but an amazing audience like y'all help as well. And I want you to download, like, subscribe, and share with somebody that you think would benefit from this episode. And knowing my audience, you should probably know 5 to 10 people that will benefit from this episode, right? And you're just going to be a hero for them once they listen to Andrew and crack this code that everyone's trying to figure out. Andrew's already cracked it, right? So make sure you guys lean on him for any future needs, for anything that we talked about today. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Holistic Hustle podcast.